exciting. Natasha, you're back for part 2.
I am.
Yes. So this is really exciting. So I know we're looking more into the holistic side of things now, aren't we? And a question popped in my head while I was sitting here. I know you talk about how we can talk to the water, and that water has a memory. And we know from the ice crystals and that how music and how they talk to changes their pattern, doesn't it? And how they look. And I just wondered, this is my question, if our conscious talking to water can affect water, what can water have the effect of on us?
Yes. So both ways, it works both ways, because water is intelligent, water has consciousness or is consciousness. And as we, like there's so many ways that we can receive from water. So one is what we dove into last time. So it depends on what water you drink, what water you bathe in, what water you shower in, right? The water that you usually have in your glass is bulk water, so-called bulk water. So it's not structured when it comes from a tap, for instance. But if you get clear spring water, you will have highly structured water that carries memory, that carries also nutrients like trace minerals. Yes. It's alive. And so as we drink that water, not only is it, as we said last time, really important for our health, because we need structured water, it is also connecting us back to our origins. It's connecting us back to who we truly are. It's like, if you think of a spring, like how much it takes for this water to come out of a spring. It's been rain, it's been under the earth for such a long time. It's been through the seasons, it's been through the years, it's been, like it came up, it had this pressure from the earth, it came up, and it would get all these minerals and all the information, right, from earth. And as we drink that water, it connects us back to Mother Earth. It connects us back to the information of eons of lifetimes.
Yeah.
It's interesting because there's also been scientists who felt like, okay, just as you said, like if water has all this information, it could have all this information, where can we find the cleanest, clearest water that hasn't been touched by human hand? And they went high up. I don't remember which country it was. As far as I remember, it was Southern America. And they went there like really, really out in nature, like really untouched water. They went to that stream or a creek, and they collected water from there, and it had a completely different structure. It was highly structured, and it showed different crystals. And so that's one way. So what we ingest, right? And as we talked to water, as I said, if you bless your water, it will change its structure.
Yeah.
There's different ways of structuring. But then also, and it's so interesting you're asking that, when I was back in the Red Sea, when I was working there as a diving instructor, and I was free diving actually. And we were training for the World Championships, and my boyfriend at the time was the captain of the team. And sometimes he would say like, okay, I'm going to take a time out. I have to talk to the ocean. And that was the first time I heard that. And it made so much sense, but it was like, oh, you can talk to the ocean. How do you do that, And then I started going and sitting and meditating by the ocean. And literally when we ask questions, to the water, we can receive answers, right? And the thing is that sometimes we will be just aware in that moment of the answer. Like we'll be aware, we'll have an inspiration or an insight, just like in meditation. Because I believe that it's actually the water in our cells that remembers who we are. Yeah. And that connects to that source of who we are. And then as we consciously connect to a body of water, whether that's a river or a lake or the ocean or the sea or a creek, right, or a spring, we can receive answers from spirit. Because ultimately, we'll get to that today, the water is spirit. Yeah. And for me at least, and for many others as well, as I'm discovering right now, it's really interesting. And so we can get these, whether you believe that water is spirit or not, but you can get information from water. And so sometimes it will be clear, like, oh, there's an insight. It's like talking to my higher self, I get an answer. And sometimes, and whether that comes in as a visual or a feeling or a sensation or something we hear internally or externally, sometimes it will be that nature will show you something. Like sometimes I sit by the ocean and I ask a question and suddenly 3 huge waves come in and they remind me of something. Or I was in the water, actually, I'm a windsurfer sometimes when I can, when it's warm enough for me. And a holiday windsurfer. And I love being out on my windsurf. And then I didn't have, that particular day, I remember, I didn't have much energy. And I felt like, nah, I don't want to overdo it, because when I do that, I hurt myself, right? I hit myself somewhere, or I scratch, or anything happens. And I was getting tired and thinking like, I'd like to do just 2 more rounds, maybe 2 more rounds. And I turned to the ocean and I go like, can I just do 2 more rounds? Because we need to have real respect for the ocean, right? Like it's really, I don't want to push something in the water. And I go like, can I just do 2 more rounds? And I turn around to see if there's wind coming, and it's against the sun and the waves, of course, if you look where the wind comes from, right? And in that moment, a wave just slaps my face. And I was like, okay, I got it, I'm going back. And so we can get answers from nature, whether that's from the water, or we see a bird flying by, or something, a rare animal, or a butterfly that reminds us of the transformation we're in, or whatever it is. And sometimes it is that we will receive the answer, just like when we're connecting in different ways, right? It's no difference there. We will receive the answer later on because a friend is going to tell us a sentence, or we're going to hear something in the radio or in the internet or whatever, right? Yeah. So yes, we can definitely receive answers from water. We can receive information from water, as long as we truly connect from our heart and not just go like, okay, I want to see what the water is going to tell me. Water, you can't lie to water. Yeah, I'm experiencing that when I go like, okay, I just want to try something, and then I do it not wholeheartedly, not really in reverence and in connection and true heart openness, I'll get no result, nothing. It's just, you can't fool water.
No. I just wondered the reason why that question came into my mind, because what was swimming around in my head then was, what would happen if there was a pool of water and healers stood all around the edge of it, hand in hand, and just connected to the water with healing energy. And then people who wanted healing got into the water. Even if the healers weren't there, and turned that water into healing waters. Has that been done?
I don't know if it's being done. It's something I want to do. And if anybody knows, please let me know. For me, it's absolutely, I'm 100% sure that yes, it would have an impact.
I mean, it would take it wouldn't have to be a big pool, so it wouldn't need like hundreds of people to go all the way around it.
You don't need, yeah, sorry.
But join together to just send healing into the water, and then visit it so often to keep renewing that healing energy, and people could go there for healing.
Yeah, so first of all, we don't even need healers to stand around it. If the healer can really connect to that water over distance even, that would have a huge impact. So the woman I told you last time, Veda Austin, remember? I didn't know the name, right? The woman who's doing the crystallography, who's just taking like a petri dish and then she's filling it with a little bit of water. Yeah. And then she would either, she would connect to the water and she would either ask water to show her something, or she would like expose water to music or to a picture or something like that. And she would get that mirrored in the water when it's starting to freeze. She has had healers send healing energy to the water that was maybe, I think even originally tap water, which doesn't form any beautiful crystals. Not in the way Masaru Emoto did it and not in the way she does it. And then afterwards, it would form amazingly beautiful crystals. And so she has had that. So I'm sure, because I don't know if it's being done and I want to find out, I'm sure that would have a huge impact. Also, what I know what's being done is, you asked about the crystal balls and I just remembered afterwards, what's being done is that people are in pools and they play crystal balls. I'm sorry, this is why I did that. And they fill the crystal bowl with a bit of water and they're in the pool and people are receiving that. They're receiving the sound directly, but they're also receiving the water because the water starts getting structured and getting that information and the frequency from the crystal bowl, and it's highly structured water. And then people are swimming in that pool or are receiving therapy in the pool. So that's being done, like water aquatic body work. It's beautiful work. Mm-hmm. And then, so I think like whether they're standing around or not. The second thing is that the pool, it depends on, it works in a pool. It would have a far greater impact, in my opinion, if that was a natural body of water. So now we need to look at temperature, because when we're doing aquatic body work, then of course we can't be in cold water because our body will start contracting, and that's not what we want. We need the expansion.
What if the person needs to do nothing more than to put their hand in the water?
Maybe.
To receive the healing.
Yeah. Yeah. Possible.
You know,
I can't say no.
If the healers sending the healing energy to that pool don't need to be there,
yeah,
does the person need to be fully in the water?
Good question. Well, actually, why then would the healers send healing energy to the water? Why wouldn't the healers send energy to the person? Because the person is water, right? We are 99% water by molecular count. So it could send the healing energy to the water in the person. But I do believe that life in person, like it wouldn't have to be, but life in person, for me, has a stronger impact, because we're feeling that connection with each other. We see each other, we're connecting heart to heart. And the people who would receive, like if you know, like Joe Dispenza was doing these retreats where they do the healing in a group. I think he's doing it online as well, but I would guess that the personal being there, we are here on Mother Earth as physical beings. We are, you know, like that incarnation. And so I would say that being there in person would probably have a bigger impact. And then
Mm.
as the healers would send that into that body of water, there could be multiple people in that water who would receive exactly what they needed.
Yeah.
Yes, and I know that, for instance, like in Bali, they have water ceremonies, like water blessings. They have like a whole water religion, I think, where these holy priests or monks or whatever they called, they work with the water. I don't know exactly, I don't know much about it. I know just it exists, right? And that's for a reason. You know, if you look into indigenous cultures, they so know how holy and sacred water is.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so, yes. Do you have another question? Or
keep going, because there seems to be something powerful in the people who would join together and healing actually being at the water, and then people being able to go there and get in the water without the healers needing to be there. But there seems to be something inside me feels like, no, it's not just a matter of sending it. There's something about the presence and the intentional presence of being there, joined hands around the water, that is where the power is.
I believe so. And I also believe so because the message that I got when I had this download that I told you about last time with the Ocean Council flight, and they told me or it was the whales, I don't know, but it was like that strong, there was different kinds of downloads. So there was a strong message of you are to bring people to where the ocean meets the land. It wasn't just work from distance and imagine or something, send energy or whatever. It was like bring people to where the ocean meets the land. And it's my next step that I'm moving into.
And I mean, DJ said that she thinks most religions have studied there's a holiness connection with water. Yeah, I agree. I think it's common throughout all peoples.
Yes.
But what was really coming in strong for me was, yes, I know energy is not contained in any way or restricted in any way. We can do distance healing with Reiki and you know, we're not restricted. But what kept butting for me then was no, the being there, the intention of being there, the connecting hands surrounding a pool of water is going to be more powerful than people intentionally sending energy to that pool of water. There's going to be something absolutely spectacular about it.
I agree. And we can imagine receiving a hug, and yes, our mirror neurons will mirror that for us, or we watch somebody getting a hug and the mirror neurons will mirror that for us, and we can imagine that, and our brain thinks it's true, and we'll have micro bodily reactions. But everybody of us knows that if we hug somebody that we truly love, it's no comparison to what we imagine, right? It just blows you away. You can imagine as much as you want. That feeling of hugging someone where your heart is just wide open. Yeah. You can get close to it and it's a bit different, but it's not embodied, right? And I do believe that what you're saying, and I'm hearing from what you're sharing, I'm hearing that holding hands. You're saying that every time.
Yeah.
So it's that also that physical connection that we get with each other as we are together, really are together in physical reality. Yes.
Yeah.
I do believe that. Yeah.
I couldn't let that go then, because it felt like, no, that is really important.
For sure, this is going to be really strong. Yes. Yes. And you know, like if I think of aquatic body work, there's many ways of doing aquatic body work, but it's like that bringing us back to that feeling of when we were in the womb, where the water is warm and we're surrounded and weightless and all of that. But it's also the connection with the practitioner who's holding you, who's moving you. You know, that touch. Like, why do we have healing touch? Why was Reiki also putting hands on, right? It's like there's a lot of that, and I believe that this makes just a huge difference. And from all these 2 years that we've been going through, where we had to be just online and connected over distance, like it's time now to start gathering really in person as Soul Tribe in person, and to do that. And I completely, my heart says the same that yours says. I haven't tried the difference, but it says the same, yes. And to what DJ said about the holiness of water, absolutely. You know what? When you think into all religions, and I think not even the major religions only, but into tribes and peoples and all of them, you know, like what's the Genesis? The Genesis in any way, like however it's being told, it always involves that in the beginning there was only water, or there was darkness. Like if you look at the Bible, as far as I know, I'm not a Bible expert, but it says that like in the beginning there was nothing, there was darkness, and then there was water, and then as the Spirit of God moved over the water, he started creating the universe. So even there, it's like there was only water. And if you look into science, our Earth, even scientifically, what we know today, before Pangea even, there was only ocean, nothing but ocean. Our Earth was covered with ocean. And by the way, that ocean, this is absolutely like mind-blowing. That ocean that existed like from the beginning, that the Earth started cooling down and there was ocean, the water was a bit different than our oceans today. It had a different salinity. And if you think about it, like life started in the ocean, right? And for 2 billion years, as far as I remember. And we humans came like 200,000 years ago, right? But the whole evolution, that was for ages, eons, there was only life in the ocean. And then we came to land and all of that. And now what's interesting about that? The ocean back then was what we call isotonic water. So it means it had the same composition of electrolytes, in particular salt, as we have today in our blood plasma. So our blood plasma, our spinal fluid, we have a spinal fluid moving up and down, and the amniotic fluid that surrounds an embryo are mirroring ocean plasma, like that primordial, if you want to call it that archaic ocean. So we have that composition today in our body, just as the ocean was back then. And if you look into how an embryo unfolds, we have gill slits. When the embryo is just in the starting of its own, I don't know how many millimeters small, it has gill slits. Human embryos have gill slits, and they then disappear. So it mirrors our evolution. And so we are so connected to that ocean that we are. And then when you take that further, what has happened is when there was a biologist by the name of René Quinton, and he was French, and he discovered that, and he started taking that ocean plasma. We can still get that, right? So there's like this there's a current bringing up plankton in the ocean, and I think they collected somewhere in France, in front of the French coast somewhere in the Atlantic. And then this current brings up plankton, and plankton is blooming, and that water that comes from the very depths of the ocean has DNA, RNA, minerals, trace minerals, fatty acids. It has like amino acids. It has everything we need for life. Now, what he did is like, he started using this, and it's mind-blowing. If you look into the pictures, that you can find them on the internet, there were people who had like women who had miscarriages many times, or children or adults even, who had deformations in their body, and he would inject that ocean plasma. Now that ocean plasma needs to be, as I'm saying, isotonic, because that means it's the same salinity as your blood, because otherwise it would just kill you probably at the time, right? We can't just take ocean and inject it. So I just want to say that, to be clear. And these people healed. You can see pictures of deformed people after, I don't know, 2 months, healed back to their original divine blueprint. So our original divine blueprint is in the ocean.
That's brilliant. That's amazing. I got to read you this. DJ has said she has a Christian faith, and part of the faith practice is baptism in water. And she said she, as many, were baptized as babies or young children who have no knowledge of what's happening at the time. And for many years as an adult, she's felt the desire, a strong pull to be baptized in a natural body of water, most precisely a waterfall. And she believes she's found a local minister who would be willing to do it this summer.
Oh, this is so beautiful.
Isn't it?
Oh, you know what? I got like
Goosebumps.
goosebumps when you started reading this. I'm like, a natural body of water. It's like, whoa. And that's how we originally, the baptizing happened in a natural body of water originally, right?
In the UK, I don't know about, where you are, but with babies and small children, it's not called a baptism, it's called a christening.
Okay.
And it's only once somebody is old enough to actually make the choice of saying, I want to be baptized, that is called a baptism.
Okay.
So here, for anybody who's not old enough to make that decision, or a baby, it's called a christening.
Okay.
My parents never christened me because my mother believed it should be a choice.
Yeah.
And so I didn't get christened. My cousins did.
Okay.
But my mother believed it should have been left for my choice. And I did choose as a teenager to get baptized.
Oh, okay. How was that experience for you? I'm just curious.
It was really special. But it was my choice.
Yes. And when it's the choice, it's so different, right? And so DJ is getting the choice to do it her way now, which is beautiful, right?
Yeah, and where? I mean, nobody ever talked about, that it could be at a waterfall or anything. When I was a teenager, so it wasn't that. I didn't know it was an option. I mean, wow, I would have so been in the waterfall for that.
Yeah, imagine how beautiful that is. I mean, waterfalls carry this absolutely crystalline energy. It's just like, wow, it's so highly charged. Is that?
Yeah.
Wow. So just imagining that is beautiful.
And do you know what came into my head then as you were saying that, you know that we can tumble small rocks, we can tumble them to create something more perfect. And what came to my head as you were saying that with a waterfall is the water is tumbling.
Oh, yes.
The water is becoming more perfect. It's tumbling and cleansed, and then it arrives.
Mm.
Wow.
Yes. And while it's flowing, before, you know, water that's flowing through a river
It's tumbling.
is always tumbling and vortexing. There's always in the middle of the river, there's a vortex, right? So Victor Schauberger is a, for those who are into water science and water mystery and more water, whatever, sacredness, he's one of the pioneers, and he's found out, like, I don't know if he was the first one or not, but he's documented that and he's worked with that, and he discovered amazing like things, including a pipe, you know, that's really like spiraling. And when if we would, and that even creates energy. So I don't know exactly how that works. I know that we could really get the electricity for cities if we would allow, instead of our pipes that we have that are straight, for that structuring, for that vortexing of the water. But and he's invented so many things. It's so interesting. But you just reminded me of that, like with the tumbling and with the spiraling and the vortexing, as much as we can get into even, you know, bathing in natural water, it has tumbled. A lake, a sea with waves, it just moves, you know, there's a river flowing through it. There's life.
It is. It's alive. I mean, the movement of it is life, isn't it?
Yeah. And you know the famous author Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, he wrote The Little Prince. Most people will be familiar with him. And he said, water is not the source of life, water is life.
Yeah.
Even then, back then, you know, so it's so old, our knowledge about life being water. And if you think that further, like, what does it mean? If we say water is life, then water is source, right?
Yeah.
There's like, and when you think about it, like we had in the beginning was water as the first physical expression. But if you go even into the elements, like fire can't burn without a little bit of water in the wood. There's always a little bit of water in the wood. If it was completely dry, it wouldn't burn. The earth, the crystals, most crystals form in water from that pressure. The earth is full of water. Every plant, every animal, the air is full of water. If we didn't have humidity in the air, which is water, we would all be coughing, and I don't know if he would survive, right? Because our lungs just wouldn't take it.
Yeah.
So it's actually, when you think about it, it's like, it's everywhere. It's the only element that's everywhere, and that gives kind of birth to all the other elements. So water is life.
Oh, this is interesting. DJ said, you mentioned bathing in natural sources of water. Of course, we need to always take care that we're not putting chemically treated substances into natural source when we bathe. Yeah.
Yes.
We shouldn't go into water with having put moisturizer on, should we? Or you know, whatever we've washed our hair in. It
all destroys, because as long as it's chemical. And also, you know, like talking about that, she's absolutely right.
Or can the purity of the water cleanse away the chemicals?
So two things here. One, I just wanna like confirm that. Yes, when we're bathing in a natural body of water, of course, we want to bathe in a place where it's not polluted.
No,
That's really important to check.
DJ was talking about introducing chemicals into the water from us.
Also, exactly. And one of them is, for instance, like summer holidays are coming soon. So people go with all of that sunscreen into the water, which is absolutely damaging to the reefs and to marine life. So there is reef safe sunscreen. Please go and get reef safe sunscreen. And one of the worst ones are these aerosol things, like where you spray that sunscreen on you because the wind takes it away and it lands in the water and it's in your body, and you go into the water and you bring all of that stuff inside, and there's like barrels and barrels and barrels of chemicals that land through us as we're putting cream and conditioner and I don't know what and sunscreen on ourselves that land in the water. So it really makes sense to be very careful about that. There is reef safe sunscreen, for instance. There is natural conditioners, or you don't need to have conditioner in your hair when you're going there, right, to take a bath. And the other thing you asked about if the water can cleanse it. Now, we talked about exclusion zone water on the last episode. Exclusion zone water is the water that is structured, so it gets negatively charged, and the other water, which is called the bulk water, will be positively charged. And our exclusion zone water isn't even H2O anymore. And what it does in its charge and in its structure, because it's highly structured water, it will expel the any other particles, right? So it can, that's why they say structured water is clean water. But there's always these need to go somewhere, right? So if you could have something where you have this exclusion zone water and you could take away the bulk water, of course you would have the clean water. But if we use structuring devices to structure the water that comes out of our tap, we still have that stuff within us. Now, some people claim that that stuff will then not have a frequency impact. So the frequency has changed, the water has changed that frequency, and it won't affect us. I personally believe that if we're drinking tap water, we need to have a filter in place because tap water is highly contaminated. Usually, even though they say it's safe to drink, because we have chemicals like chlorine inside, fluoride inside. We also find cadmium. We find heavy metals through our plumbing, even though we don't have lead plumbing anymore in many modern cities. What comes through our tap in the end, they use lead so that the tap can be bent. So there's always lead inside, for instance. So I personally love to have, when I have a filter where it's lead free and where I know that most of what can be taken out is taken out, right? There's always a difficulty with fluoride because it takes a lot to take out the fluoride, but at least the rest will be taken out. And then structure the water if you need to drink tap water. And if you can drink spring water, then check there's a website I've heard there's a website, findaspring.com, I think it's called, where you can see whether that's in your country available and where there's a spring. And you can even, even if you have to drive once a week and get a little bit, it will always inform you, it will always support you, it will really nourish you. And then be sure that it's not near to fracking sites. So there's a website, I don't know what the name is, I think it's fracking.com or something like that, but you can check. The fracking is like the way they take oil out of the earth with chemical treatment, and it's really, really damaging for the environment and the water in particular. So be careful that you don't poison yourself with that. So just double check that it's from a clean source. But there's this, so that's another way where you could get really clean water, because it's also filtered through the earth, through the stones, through the sand, through everything it goes through, right? That's why carbon filters work so well for many things, not for all. And then if you get bottled water, I suggest that you really be careful that it's not just any bottled water, because many times they just take any kind of water from somewhere in the ground and they just bottle it and put some chemicals inside to clean it or whatever. It doesn't have much life. It won't nourish you. But at least then make it be spring waters, you know, it's clean, and check what it has inside, and then structuring it. And there's different structuring devices you can get. But if you don't have anything, even, you know, blessing the water, even just creating a vortex with something, it will do a little, but it will do something, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And then, you know, what's a huge issue actually talking about springs is that whole water control that's going on our planet.
Yeah.
Because there's really many corporations who are, like, you know, trying to have the monopoly over the water that we have, and buying waters and buying springs, and water has to be free for everybody. And so if we can just, for instance, support or talk in our local community and see where there are springs and make sure that these cannot be sold, it will make a huge difference. You know, because water is going to be a huge problem. And now they're even starting with, you know, desalination, whole cities, and like some cities live on desalinated water. And it's very harmful for the ocean again, because it creates a lot of chemicals that are being pumped back into the ocean and the sea. And it's definitely not the water that we're supposed to drink that way. Like if you want to get the ocean plasma, then you get ocean plasma. You don't, the injections, they don't do it anymore. What I told you about this Canton, right, that he did, I think, I don't know if you can get it in some countries, most countries not. But what you can get is for it to drink it, right? And it also has positive effects, they say. I haven't tried it yet. I'm looking into what I want to try out, but that's something that is available. Yeah, so just always, you know, like with everything, just check where it comes from, check a little bit around it, opening our minds and going like, what's really a conscious choice, right? And double checking and doing some research ourselves.
Yeah. And I read recently that the way they mine for the components they need for electric cars to make the batteries, they are poisoning the water where they mine.
Yeah.
So people who are dependent upon that water to live are now having their water poisoned.
Yes. Yes. And you know, it's all such a farce, because actually we have all the solutions for humanity already here. They just need to have the opportunity to come out in a safe way. And I think that's what we also said, right? Water and consciousness, that we'll talk about that, and expanding our consciousness and raising our consciousness. And it's so important whether you do it with water or you do it in your own way, in different ways. You know, when we can raise consciousness on the planet, then all of these solutions can come out. We have free energy.
Yeah.
We can have sustainable food systems. We have like anything, right? It's there. It's already there for hundreds of years. Actually, it's for at least 100 years. We have this stuff.
But it won't make people money.
Sorry?
It won't make people money.
Well, it will make people money, but the wrong, not the right ones and not the wrong ones, right? No, it's not right or wrong. It's just like there is control going on our planet. There is manipulation going on our planet, and the people who are, yeah, making the biggest profit on it, they don't want this to come out, and they are everywhere, and it's okay. That's just something that is. But what we can do is, like what I love is like, when people talk in the spiritual community about neutrality, I'm 100% for neutrality, but neutrality of the heart. Not thinking like, oh, it's their fault and they're making a lot of money and they're doing this and they're controlling us and da da da. you know, but like you, right? I know you're like fully in the heart. And like when we can be really in our heart and stay neutral with our feelings as we get conscious about what's going on in our world, and as we stay in neutrality and stay in love and stay in peace and expand our consciousness, we can take action, but the action doesn't have to be neutrality. I'm not going to sit here and wait and go like, I'm neutral and they're going to take all the springs in the world. I'm not going to sit here and wait and go like, I'm neutral and allow everybody to kill all the sharks and dolphins and whales and I don't know what, right? So it's like, how can I stay neutrality within and then take the action that calls me, right? Because there's no right or wrong. There's nobody can tell you need to do this or that. But that we can stay like, okay, that's the way it is. How can I feel good? That's why I stay in neutrality, because I'm not going to play the same game.
Living our values.
And living our values and really living them. Yes, and living them. Yeah. And so, again, you know, the water has that. Also, when I work with ocean, like codes, the codes that the ocean bring are the codes of awakening. They are the codes of freedom, of joy, of peace, of power, not power over our own power of being our authentic true self, because they remind us, they help us remember who we are, our true essence, and embody that. And then it's like you said, live it. So when we can just open our hearts to even the possibility that water is life, that ocean carries that, the solution to the restoration of our divine human blueprint through that ocean plasma, through that, which it brings up every year for us, right? To even just connect with it, whether we drink it or not, and then start really, connecting to the waters that are not in our body and the waters that are in our body, right? We start really forming a relationship, opening our hearts and feeling that love. We will receive answers, as you asked in the first question, right? We will receive guidance. We will feel more whole. We'll be more connected to Mother Earth through water, through ocean, through a lake, through a river, And I think talking about a river, I just want to mention that, like recognizing that the waters in our body and outside of our body are living, life, sentient, intelligent entities and one huge entity, right? And New Zealand, for instance, is the first country who has given a particular river that is sacred to the Maori people, given it the rights of a person. Wow. So it's literally recognized as a person in front of the law.
Wow.
And that's a huge step, right?
Yeah. And
if we can start opening our minds to that possibility to not only see what we perceive with our eyes, in particular when it comes to ocean and water, it just opens a whole new world of who we are, a whole new world of what we can access. Because if you think of it, the first atom that was formed in the universe was hydrogen. Water carries the akashic records of all of who we've ever been, all of who we are, like of everything of the quantum field, right? It actually carries that. Clear water carries that. There's water in our sun. It could form because of water, not the water that we see here. It's kind of an icy state of, I don't know exactly. I haven't gone into that very much, but I know that, right? And so there's like, it just permeates everything.
Yeah.
And so we can connect to the truth of who we are and everything through water and through ocean. Yeah.
It's so exciting, isn't it?
Yes. It's just, it's there, it's in front of us, and we're just using it every day and just becoming a little more. And I'm even though I'm like for a long time, like very connected, I'm still on that path, you know, creating a more intimate relationship, a more sacred relationship, really, you know, reminding myself. And every time I take a glass of water to remind myself, right, to form a connection, to say thank you. You know, it's just, it can be these small things. When you water your garden, bless the water that you're watering your garden with. Like they found out that plants, when they get structured water, they grow far better. Oh, and by the way, that's another way to, you know, I see I'm jumping a little bit back and forth, but also with structuring water, how we can structure water for ourselves, eating plants. If you can eat organic, or even better, regeneratively farmed. But fruit and vegetables and greens, whatever plants there are, they carry structured water in them, just like we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I suppose animals must as well.
Oh, yes. Yes.
All life.
All life has, you know, in every cell, there's structured water. And we, as I said last time, right, our aging is going slower, is slowing down when we get access to highly structured water. Oh, by the way, the thing I told you about the brain left and right, it's not 20 minutes, after 20 seconds. What we had in the first episode, right? That when they drink this highly coherent structured water that's gone through all the cycles of the earth, the brain connects left and right brain side within 20 seconds. I said 20 minutes, I think. I re-listened. I was like, oh. It's 20 seconds.
Wow, that's nothing, is it?
Nothing. You know, so what we need to restore is actually there. And it's always, nature teaches us everything, isn't it? It's like,
oh, yeah.
Even with the structuring, you know, they found out that the more they can do the structuring, that it's naturally done, it's a whole different story than those electric machines that put your water through. I don't know what, I wouldn't drink that, right? Even though it's really hype at the moment, like all these filters with electrical magnetic forces that then create the structure in the water. I don't believe that stuff. It's really, it has to be done with nature and according to nature in a natural way. Yeah.
I don't know about those. So.
Yeah, it's better. Yes. So yeah, it is beautiful. I just love it. As you can see, I'm kind of on fire with this topic. I'm just and this and that and that. Yeah, so I hope that this was insightful and inspiring.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And is there anything you want to leave us with? Oh, DJ has a question.
Oh yeah. Please.
Go ahead, DJ. You say it. And while DJ's writing it, you know, is
yeah, I would just suggest to, if you want to connect more with water, to build it into your awareness, just because you're connecting to water every day. So whenever you drink a glass of water, and check out what ways there are for filtering and structuring, or how you get your water. Maybe do some research, maybe support an organization like the Blue Planet or other organizations who are supporting this movement, or just sit by a lake, sit by a river, sit by a creek, sit by the ocean, and start relating and communicating to the water.
DJ has asked, so if we cook things that have structured water, does it change it? Such as boiling water or cooking vegetation?
So yes and no. So microwave completely destroys it. So don't use microwave. It's the worst you can do to your food, to your water, to your body. If you cook, don't cook with microwave. And then it depends on how structured your water is. Okay, there are very little structuring devices on the market, and it will say explicitly that you can kind of structure it and then cook with that same water. I would suggest that if you want to like have a cup of tea, if you're talking just about the water being cooked, or hot water or warm water, to first cook it and then structure it. With vegetables, it has to, if it does to water usually. So, you know, depending on the diet you have, what I love doing for myself is to make sure that I have raw food within my diet. It doesn't mean that sometimes, you know, it's winter and we need warm cooked food, and depending on our type, if you go through Ayurveda or Chinese medicine or anything, you will learn that we need to eat what's best for us, right? Yeah. And there's no general thing, like, but some amount of raw veggies, greens, fruit is going to help your body get the structuring water into your body, as long as it's organic. If it's not organic, at least it will have pesticides, and these pesticides do disturb and you know, unstructure your water, and they make it really, really chaotic. And you can look you can also go to vidaaustin.com, where she does this crystallography, and you will see that she did like the microwave, and she did the 5G exposure and all of that, and it's really not what you want to drink or eat. Yeah,
DJ said yes. So
yeah, thank you, DJ, for asking.
Yeah, that was
good. And also what I wanted to say is that yeah, you asked me what I want to share. So one is go and connect with the water in your way, find a way, find your way. Everybody's different, everybody's way is different. Whatever attracts your heart is your way to connect with the water, whether it's through, you know, aquatic body work, whether it's through sitting by the oceans, to asking questions, to drinking more structured water, it's to, you know, whether it's supporting organizations. And the other thing, that if you're interested in doing a meditation for the oceans, I'm leading on June 8th, which is World Ocean Day. I'm going to do a free meditation where we will really, just as Jill said, like when the healers come together, although we can't hold hands obviously yet, I'm working on that, but at least we can dive into meditation, connect with ourselves, connect with the waters on our planet, and send some healing energy, and also receive whatever will come for us. It will come.
And yes, and share that in the comments, and also share it on June 8th.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, I haven't put together the site yet, but I will. And if you want me, you know, you can also just tag me and say, yes, I want in. And as soon as I have it ready, I will put it here. And then, yeah, thank you so much, and share it.
Do a post in the group for everybody to see it on the 8th.
I will.
You know.
Yes.
Everybody,
and if you're watching this on any other channel for in any other way, just check the description underneath the video. I'll put it in there as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Oh, thank you so much, Jill.
Thank you, and thank you, DJ, for the questions. And I can see Kathy was here watching as well.
Thank you.
This has been wonderful again, and I know we'll return and carry on this conversation, because you know it's so rich, isn't it, and so beautiful. It's us.
Yeah,
it's our beings.
It is. Thank you so much for having me. It was such an honor and a pleasure and a joy to be here.
Thank you. And thank you everybody who watches on the replay as well.
Yes.
We're going to say goodbye now.
Goodbye, everybody.